Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency was handed a win Friday after a federal judge said Doge can continue to access sensitive records from at least 3 federal agencies. But now there is some concern among the intelligence community about some of that data shared by Doge. What can you tell us about that?
So Doge has been, remember, Phil, posting some of its work, not all of it, but some of its work on a web portal and on an X feed. And Elon Musk has pointed folks to both of those things to say, look at what Doge is doing. And posted on its website was information about an agency called the National Reconnaissance Office. It's not what comes to mind initially when you think of a spy agency or an intelligence agency, but it has a very specific role in which it builds, maintains, and keeps an eye on the satellites that the U.S. uses for reconnaissance and for spying, frankly. This is an agency in which the budget and the head count were posted of online. And you're not really supposed to have that information for a classified agency whose work is often classified posted online, its budget and its head count.
Doge continues to stress out top Democrats and mainstream media. The Trump administration lays off thousands of probationary employees, saving more than $500 million. And attorneys warn Governor Kathy Hochul about doing anything drastic when it comes to Mayor Eric Adams. Now, guys, I got a lot in store for you guys today in today's video, so let's go ahead and start off with Doge's big win in court. As you heard, a federal judge has given Elon Musk a win by giving him continued access to at least 3 federal agencies. Those would be the Department of Labor, Department of Health and Human Services, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, the request to have Doge blocked came from a group of unions and nonprofits who wanted a temporary order that would block Elon Musk's team from sensitive data. The billionaire celebrated on X with 3 simple letters, LFG. Obviously, I can't say what it literally means, but it basically saying, let's effing go. Now, I'm pretty sure that this isn't the end of it. In fact, the Trump administration is for sure to face multiple lawsuits within the next 4 years. I mean, we got to be honest here. This is all that Democrats can do at this point. The president, through executive action, has the right to appoint Elon Musk to check out these agencies. And they keep crying about personal information and the right to privacy. But the fact remains that Elon Musk has clearance and he intends on using it to do his job. At least the job that the president has tasked him with. We also have to be realistic here, guys. This government-wide audit is something that voters have asked for. I definitely did. Did you? A majority of this country want this government cleaned out. They want the swamp drained. Comment swamp drained if you guys are on board with draining the swamp here, guys. And it's showing because states are slowly turning red as time goes by. Watch this.
The ones who are at risk of being charged with fraud and corruption. And, you know, the ones who favor a bureaucracy. And let the Dems do it. They'll lose again.
We're seeing polling in Arizona from swing state people. Kennedy, they want them to keep going. They say keep cutting. They love it.
And it was actually a very interesting polling group because it was people who had voted for Biden in 2020 who then switched their votes to Trump in 2024 because Bidenomics, as was the case for most people in the country, it didn't work out for them. So it didn't work out for them because their taxes are too high, eggs are too expensive, people still are having a hard time making mortgage payments and paying the rent and affording college and everything else. So now they're realizing where that hard-earned tax money is actually going. And the more we hear about $160 million going to a Canadian electric school bus factory that has now declared bankruptcy and never made good on their promise to deliver school buses, 100 million of them, to 55 school districts in the country, it's like, that's where my money has gone. They actually want more of it because the feeling is if you cut out entire departments and if you shed sunlight on all of this waste and abuse, then maybe taxes will finally come down. Then maybe federal expenditures will come down. And I'm shocked that Democrats haven't gotten on board with this and gone, you know what? We're not helping people if we're squirreling this money away to projects that do absolutely nothing. We're Democrats. We're the party of the working man. So let's ferret out the abuse and find better, less expensive ways to truly help people. But they're not doing that, and that's dumb.
Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. But that's not what matters to these blue states and their leadership. They don't want to give President Trump any more wins. And in doing so, they're only digging a deeper hole for themselves. And they're going to have a tough time crawling out of it because more and more of their constituents are waking up. They're waking up because you guys are sharing videos like this one. And I really appreciate you guys. We're getting the truth out here. Just take New York Attorney General Letitia James as an example. She's out here visibly terrified about what Doge can do.
Payments to the state of New York and to states all across this nation. It is unacceptable, unconstitutional, ultra-vires. They have exceeded their authority. And so it's important that attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law, because Elon Musk, individuals at the Treasury, and the President of these United States is not above the law. And we will continue. You know, as attorneys general, we've been preparing for this. This is not the outcome that we wanted.
You know how you can tell when somebody's suffering from Trump derangement syndrome? When they have a tough time even saying his name. I know you guys have seen that, right? But it's hard to argue with Doge if it's literally saving taxpayers a lot of money. Check this out.
Doge this week is laying off, get this, 3,600 probationary employees, 4,000 employees retained. And so then the savings is $600 million. So I guess a probationary doesn't mean they're on probation. It means that they were just recently hired and they're during this probationary period, which makes it easier for Doge and the government to let go of them if they decide that their jobs are not necessary.
Well, and this is a guy with Elon Musk. We saw when he took over Twitter, I mean, he slashed a lot of the employees. It's still running just fine. But the biggest problem where we are right now as a country with our federal government, it's too big. This is not the original vision of America. We were supposed to have a decentralized government. That was the whole vision of the founding fathers. So what we have now is the antithesis of what America is supposed to be. And when government becomes so centralized and so big, it becomes corrupt.
Correct.
And that's what we're seeing. And that's what we saw with the Biden administration going after people under the FACE Act, going after its political opponents without fear. And so what this election is about is the American people taking their power back. It's a we the people election, and we're seeing a we the people administration.
And real quick, I'd like to take a moment to appreciate the sponsor of today's video, Scantech AI Systems. They can be found on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol STAI, recently merged with Scantech Identification Beam Systems, LLC, to become a leading provider of advanced security solutions. The company focuses on developing cutting-edge technology, software, and artificial intelligence, AI, to protect some of the world's most critical security checkpoints. Their mission is to improve how security threats are detected and prevented, blending speed and precision to create more effective security systems. Scantech AI specializes in non-intrusive CT scanning technology designed for high-risk locations such as airports, borders, and nuclear power plants. Unlike older systems, their CT scanners provide advanced imaging with better accuracy and faster threat detection. The system integrates AI and machine learning to detect threats more reliably and reduce human error. Scantech solutions are more affordable with lower maintenance costs compared to older equipment, resulting in less downtime and improved performance. Scantech recently secured a major contract with the nuclear utility industry, showcasing its ability to protect vital infrastructure. Ontario Power Generation, OPG, replaced its legacy X-ray systems with Scantech's advanced CT scanners to enhance personnel screening at critical checkpoints. These new systems are equipped with proprietary AI that allows them to detect dangerous materials quickly and accurately. The upgrade was facilitated by Vision Tech Systems under a multi-million-dollar contract, helping Scantech expand its technology beyond aviation security into the nuclear sector. Scantech AI also plays a significant role in improving security along the US-Canadian border. With Canada's $1.3 billion border security initiative, Scantech is preparing to expand its its technology deployment across all 120 legal land ports of entry. This initiative could involve an estimated $100 million in funding to deploy Scantech scanners. The company's AI-driven CT scanners have already been tested and proven by the United States Transportation Security Administration, also known as TSA, at major airports. These systems are expected to help detect and to prevent the smuggling of fentanyl and other contraband at border checkpoints, enhancing security while keeping operational costs low. Scantech's leadership brings extensive experience in managing growth and ensuring compliance with financial regulations. CEO Dolan Falconer emphasized the importance of expanding the management team and bringing in a new chief financial officer, or CFO, to help support the company's global business plan and fuel its continued growth. Scantech AI Systems is positioning itself as a major player in the security industry, from protecting critical infrastructure to securing international borders. Combination of AI-driven technology, cost-effective solutions, and visionary leadership team, it sets it apart in the marketplace. This explanation is for informational purposes only. Investors should always perform their own due diligence before making any investment decisions. This is not investment advice. Here's something that you're not going to hear as much. The fact is that the American people are in favor of Doge. A recent Trafalgar poll shows that almost 50% of the country approves of what Elon Musk is doing, with a lot of support for Doge to keep digging for more. This is the transparency that voters wanted. And I guess the likes of Letitia James is unhappy because they understand that the money will dry up soon. Now, I'm not going to stray away from New York here, guys. Let's talk about New York Governor Kathy Hochul and New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Some believe that Adams is helping border czar Tom Homan in exchange for a favor, one that is connected to his charges. Although New York trial attorney Rebecca Rose Woodland disagrees with this idea, citing that the mayor is simply doing his job, because they're supposed to work with federal government in order to deport violent criminals, especially those who entered the country illegally. Watch.
So one of the really crazy things about the story is that now Governor Kathy Hochul actually has the authority to remove Adams as mayor of New York City. What are the dynamics that go into her thinking right now on that?
I mean, I don't know her personally, but I would think that that would be a very bad move for her. Eric Adams is doing his job. He complained for years about the burdens this city was taking on with these illegal immigrants. He complained to the administration before Donald Trump's administration. And you're telling me now that she's going to remove him? Why? Because Pam Bondi, who happens to be a great friend of mine who I've known for years, she's an honest, ethical DOJ, that she's running a division and a department that is just doing their job. If they reviewed the case and said there's nothing there, there's nothing there.
Well, I could say this as a regular taxpayer and American citizen, that a deal to drop charges against Eric Adams in exchange for actually doing something about illegal immigration, millions of illegals flooding into, and not to mention tens of billions of dollars that we're spending on this, maybe not such a bad deal.
This begs the question, is it Eric Adams who's doing something wrong here? Or is it these far-left mayors who don't want to do what Americans voted for? That's the real question.
Sean, we know what's going on here. It's very simple. It's the same thing that's been happening for the last 3.5 years. They're panicking, and the only thing they do is go to radical left judges that want to make a name for themselves to stop the executive branch for doing exactly what was mandated to do on November 5th when we swept the nation.
New York Mayor Eric Adams takes a huge step to help Tom Homan as investigations into him go deeper. The Department of Government Efficiency is hitting the Democrats where it hurts. Elon Musk makes a shocking discovery with regards to an underground mine used by the government, and President Donald Trump calls out CNN as the press laughs at one of their top anchors.
Is the president happy with the number of arrests?
I'm not. The arrests, if you look at the arrests in the interior enforcement, about 3 times higher than a year ago today. 3 times higher is good. But I'm not satisfied.
Border czar Tom Homan asked for more funding to get more deportations done. Woke Democratic Representative AOC may have just committed a crime by teaching illegal aliens how to evade ICE. RFK Jr. just got confirmed, which has Democrats completely pissed off. And Hakeem Jeffries responds to AG Pam Bondi's charges against the state of New York. Now, you guys might remember that Caitlin Collins hasn't been the kindest of reporters to President Trump, right? I mean, she's been dubbed as a nasty person by President Trump himself before. And it shows with the way that she handles herself whenever she's talking to him. Now, I don't know what's wrong with this girl. A lot of people say she looks like a dude. I'm not even trying to get into that, but either that or whenever she's addressing White House press secretary, she's just got this RBF. She just looks so angry. And it's like she's trying to attack them with her words. So here's Caitlin Collins asking Carolyn Levitt, who is miles better than Karine Jean-Pierre. If you guys agree, let me know, about the Associated Press reporter being barred from the White House.
Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is.
Now, while this might seem like a crazy concept to Caitlin Collins of CNN, it's one that's not uncommon, which brings me to Doge and a crazy discovery that they made in Pennsylvania. Watch.
There's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down and then, sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this.
Wow. Now, a group of anonymous employees told the Butler Eagle from the Office of Personnel Management that they don't have an elevator, but nonetheless, look at these pictures. This is stunning. All of the paperwork stored right here. It looks like a time warp. And you can see inside this facility, these massive columns of limestone that's holding it all up. Millions of paper files are stored right here. And according to Doge, every month, the facility takes about 10,000 applications for retirements and then sorts through them entirely by hand. Now, it's unbelievable that the government of the world's foremost superpower processes retirement applications 230 feet underground. There's one person who is not surprised by it, and he's sitting in the middle of our couch, and his name is Jason Chaffetz.
I got to tell you, there are a lot of storage facilities like this, and corporate America uses them all the time. But the idea that you have to do this by hand, that it's not automated, is ridiculous. Right. Elon Musk is 110% right. But if you want a secure facility that is temperature controlled, impervious to people getting in, a lot of caves are used throughout the country for corporate America. But this is not the first. Elon Musk, welcome to the show, because we've been talking about this for a while.
It's not just inefficient to work like this, it's going to be affected by Doge. Now, think about this for a second. Democrats will have a tough time saying no to this funding, especially since we send around the same amount to Ukraine to have them protect their borders. But besides the issue with the money, there are those who choose to go against these deportations. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is getting criticized for hosting a webinar that teaches illegal immigrants ways to avoid ICE. But even worse, they're exposing the tactics that ICE agents have been using in New York. Watch.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is asking immigrants in her district to sign a privacy release form so her office can intervene if they're picked up by ICE. The release is part of a broader effort by Ocasio-Cortez and other Democratic members of Congress to inform immigrants about their rights as the Trump administration ramps up deportation operations. The lawmaker's website states, if you or a loved one has an open order of removal or are worried about getting picked up by ICE, please complete this DHS privacy release form so our office can intervene. Know that you have rights, including access to a lawyer. Ocasio-Cortez's office is hosting a webinar Wednesday night to teach constituents what to do if they're confronted by ICE. She and other members also have resources and information available on their website, including a list of pro bono attorneys. Congressional offices can provide immigration casework assistance to constituents who have an open case. That usually involves submitting inquiries to federal agencies about the status of the case, but it's limited to asylum, DACA and TPS, naturalization, and visa applications. Other members of Congress who are providing advice to immigrants include Congresswomen Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Omar's Know Your Rights page states, sadly, our nation's immigration system is fundamentally unjust and tragically inhumane. Instead of extending humanity and compassion to migrants and refugees, our country often treats them like criminals. This has only been exacerbated by President Donald Trump and his administration. The representatives say when confronted by ICE, immigrants do not have to open the door unless officers have a warrant, do not have to share personal information, including immigration status, should not sign anything before consulting with an attorney, should not lie, and can stay silent.
This webinar of AOC's was titled Know Your Rights with ICE. It was a virtual event that was held on her Facebook page. And while she wasn't in the webinar itself, the Congresswoman was on Instagram sharing tips in both English and in Spanish. And in a post, AOC wrote this: our strategic advantage in this moment is our strength in numbers. It is time to use it. In nearly every way, we outnumber those who want to abuse their power and keep people in fear. The truth is, they cannot come after all of us. That is why they actively use and create fear to get us to give up in advance and withdraw from public life without them lifting a finger. She adds that if ICE ever comes to the workplace or home of illegal immigrants, they would be able to defend themselves by using the Constitution and exercising their rights. She's getting a ton of backlash on this because she's saying as if illegal immigrants actually have the same rights as U.S. citizens. And to say that the American Constitution can be used to protect illegal immigrants from deportation is just really kind of pushing the narrative. It's really a dangerous game to play, and odds are that somebody's going to end up getting hurt because of AOC's words. So the more that these sanctuary cities want to keep criminals safe, the more they risk their own community, because we all know that ICE will do its job as intended. With the shackles of the previous administration now gone, they can now go ahead and do just that. However, they face another problem: money, something that Senator Lindsey Graham talked about just recently.
Now, what guides my thinking is the problem we have now. We're running out of money. So we had Tom Homan and Russ Vought speak to the conference today, and I'm urging the speaker to invite them over and let them tell the House what they told us. Tom Homan said, I am begging you for money. Russ Vought said that we're running out of money for ICE. We can't rob other accounts any longer. Why do we need this money? There are 300,000 children that are missing we want to find. The sooner we can find them, we'll end their abuse. And they're being abused while I speak. So to the American people, if you want your government to track down these 300,000 immigrant children that are missing, we need more money to do it. To the American people, if you'd like to finish the wall, we need more money to do it. If you want a more modern border, we need money to do it. If you believe that President Trump is right to track down and deport criminal aliens and clean up the mess that's been created over the last 4 years, we need more ICE agents. They gave us a summary of what $175 billion would do. It would be enough money for 4 years to implement President Trump's border agenda, immigration agenda on the security side. I am a fairly hawkish guy. I am telling you right now, I've never seen more threats to our nation than I do right now.
Guys, appreciate y'all hitting the like button. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. But let's go and get things started with Tom Homan and their efforts to keep our borders safe. Watch.
There's more criminal aliens that need to be arrested, hundreds of thousands. Sanctuary cities are putting roadblocks up. We got leaks. So we need to increase the arrest of illegal aliens, especially those with criminal convictions. So we're going to continue. So 3 times higher is good. The numbers are good. For me, not good enough. We got to get more.
Mr. Holman, what's your message for the sanctuary cities you just said we're putting up roadblocks? Do you have a message for them for Chicago, for example?
Well, Attorney General Pam Bonnie's going to investigate them. We're going to hold them accountable. Sanctuaries are sanctuary criminals. End of story. They're sanctuary for criminals. Let us in the county jail to arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of the county jail. It's safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, it's certainly safer for the community. Any sanctuary city that purposely release public safety threats back into public is stupid. I mean, let us arrest the bad guy in the jail, because what the sanctuary cities are seeing, I've already seen the stories. Non-criminals are being arrested at a higher rate, and they're going to keep being arrested at a higher rate, because we can't arrest that bad guy in the jail. We got to go to the community. When we go in the community, we're going to find the bad guy. When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that aren't a criminal priority, but they're going to get arrested too. We're not going to tell ICE agents, ignore the oath you took, ignore the laws of immigration enforcement, just arrest the criminal. No, we're taking everybody. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the neighborhoods and more non-criminals being arrested, because they forced us in the community.
Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Now, moving on, guys, Democrats are having full-blown meltdowns as RFK Jr. just got confirmed as our next health secretary. So Kennedy has faced a lot of scrutiny for his past comments on different scientific topics, one of which was vaccines. And this fight from the Democratic Party, it really didn't come cheap. Reports show that they've spent more than $1 million to try and block RFK Jr. from becoming the secretary of the HHS.
So many times during my campaign, traveling across the country, I sense that people are feeling disconnected. We have a whole generation of kids that feels alienated, dispossessed. They are in a existential crisis, not only because their health is, 77% of our kids can't qualify for military service. There's a purposelessness in their lives and no sense of usefulness or effectiveness or connectedness to their communities.
One Republican, if you can call him that, who voted against Kennedy was Mitch McConnell. He voted against him, and he had this to say: "In my lifetime, I've watched vaccines save millions of lives from devastating diseases across America and around the world. I will not condone the re-litigation of proven cures, and neither will millions of Americans who credit their survival and quality of life to scientific miracles. What Mitch McConnell doesn't realize is that people don't trust big pharma. That's the problem. At least not anymore, as we've been kept in the dark for the longest of time. And when we asked for transparency during the pandemic, we got punished just for asking questions. So it's no surprise that a majority of Americans trust in RFK Jr. more than they do these big pharma companies." Now, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, he made some noise recently. This is in line with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi's charges against New York. This includes the likes of Letitia James and Kathy Hochul, governor of New York City or governor of New York State. Now, Pam Bondi says that those who interfere with the work of ICE will be subject to charges. So here's what he had to say about that.
In regards to Attorney General Pam Bondi's announcement yesterday, I want to get your perspective on the Department of Justice lawsuit against Governor Hochul, and what role do you think, if not just the New York congressional delegation, but Democrats in general, what kind of role do you think you need to play in addressing the tensions between state and federal immigration policies if they're going to overreach like this?
I have not had the opportunity to speak with Governor Hochul about this issue or Attorney General Tish James. But I expect that there will be a forceful response to this overreach by the Department of Justice. We will not be intimidated at all, ever, by the Trump administration and anything that these far-right extremists attempt to do to hurt New Yorkers or hurt the American people. We will not be intimidated. What in our record suggests, particularly as it relates to the House of Representatives, that this crowd over there will intimidate us? What? in our records suggests that? What in 2017? What in 2018? What in 2019? What in 2020? What in 2021? What in 2022? What this year suggests that House Democrats are going to be intimidated by any of the extremism that is coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going to push back. We're going to push back forcefully. We will certainly defend the people of the great state of New York and the American people.
I'm not sure if he's aware, but the target of deportations would be illegal immigrants, not American citizens. And I think this is something that they get confused on purpose a lot, because their message is that they want to protect us. But in reality, they're protecting illegal immigrants, none of which are American citizens. So he'd rather go against federal law than protect the country? Sounds like treason to me. War between Russia and the Ukraine shouldn't have started, arguing that the previous administration allowed this conflict to happen.
And this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his...
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else?
Think about this for a second, guys. Former Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz both chose which news outlets that they're going to appear on. They knowingly chose more left-leaning outlets, and they clearly avoided the likes of Fox News. The White House press corps has both sides of the aisle present. And as you guys saw, Caitlin Collins, who represents CNN, is right at the front. And while it's easy to say that the Associated Press is being withheld of their freedom, it's also fair that the truth be universal, meaning that the White House will stick to the facts and will expect the press to do the same. Not doing so will result in them being reprimanded, or in this case, barred from the Oval Office. Alina Habba recently went on Fox News to tell us exactly why some lawmakers are scared.
If we want to save money, people are going to get upset. Why are they getting upset? Because we're taking money out of their pockets. The best thing that Elon Musk is going to do is going to look at people's salaries and say, okay, if you make X amount of money and you're worth $68 million, we're going to look at why that is. And that's really the bottom line, because we could talk about everything, every executive order, but there is a panic in D.C. at this moment where I now live, and it is very simple. We are cutting them off from their funding. And that means politicians, not just saving taxpayer dollars. And that's where the panic is coming from. It's pretty basic.
And this concern has been with us for decades, seeing politicians come into office and make millions of dollars within just a few years, and we never understood why. But of course, we need to see this from the perspective of left-leaning news outlets as well. CNN's Kate Bolden challenged Scott Jennings about Doge, arguing that there's no transparency, even though Scott Jennings clearly proves her wrong here. Watch.
He's not been transparent. I mean,
They are
they
making routine announcements about the things they are finding, and they are inviting questions about the things they are finding every single day.
But by definition, he's not being transparent. They're not providing data for the things that they say they have found evidence of. They just aren't.
The White House has provided.
You can make announcements, and you also did admit that he actually.
So you just don't believe it. I mean, they are providing information. You just choose not to believe that it's true.
This could just be simple Trump derangement syndrome, also known as TDS. Unfortunately, there's no cure for this. And just because Elon Musk is working for the president, the derangement is passed on. But it's pretty clear that these liberals have a truth of their own. Even when you present them with the facts, they will continue to believe their own truth. Now, while a lot of Democrats are not willing to work with the Trump administration, some are choosing against the grain. One of which is New York Mayor Eric Adams.
A big win for President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. ICE will soon be allowed to operate within New York City. The announcement coming after a meeting between Mayor Eric Adams and the president's border czar, Tom Homan. In a statement, the mayor says he's working on getting more NYPD detectives on federal task forces that are looking to nab those violent offenders within the city. News Nation's Alicia Nieves has more from New York. Alicia, was the mayor happy with how this meeting turned out?
Yeah, good morning, Marky. That meeting actually happened just behind me at ICE headquarters here yesterday. The mayor left it saying that he thought it was productive. He also said that he does not want a war with the Trump administration. Rather, he does want to work with it, kind of going against the historical norms, if you would, here in this city. But wanting to work with the Trump administration so much so that he says he now plans, Mayor Adams, to issue an executive order to override sanctuary city laws that prohibit U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials, or ICE ICE officials from operating within city facilities. He noted part of the plan discussed with the border czar is to reopen ICE offices on Rikers Island jail complex to detain illegal migrants there, specifically those who are released from Rikers for violent crimes. He also then discussed, as you noted, ways to embed the actual police department, NYPD detectives, into federal task force focusing on violent gangs and criminal activity here in the city.
And I've been very clear on sanctuaries, cities that we must adjust. The previous administration implemented, and I think went too far with sanctuary cities. I thought the intention was there, but the application was wrong. And I asked the city council, can we modify it when it comes down to dangerous individuals? They said they refused to do so. So we need to operate in the parameters that we have.
It's kind of rich how Democrats now want to abide by the rules when the tides don't favor them. This kind of reminds me of a previous live stream I did where Democrats who are literally calling for Elon Musk to show up, with some of them even inciting violence against the billionaire and the Trump administration. Make sure you guys check that one out because it's getting crazy out there. As always, thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, for sharing the video. We'll see you guys next time.